All right, y'all, what's going on? It's Combo Breaker 99. I am back with another video. All right, y'all. So I've been meaning to talk about this since last week, but as the days go by and the weeks go by, you just get to see more and more evidence on why the next best division is the flyweight division. I mean, let's just be real. Right now, flyweight, it has a lot going on, right? You got a lot of upcoming prospects trying to make their way into the rankings. You got a lot of new fighters trying to push out the old heads. They're not just talking, but they're trying to really come in here, improve their game, get into the top 10. And then you got a new batch of contenders now, right? Also, just 2 weekends ago now, the belt just changed hands after a long reign of Valentina Shevchenko, right? So now everyone's heads are turning. Everybody's heads are turning, trying to see what this division's about, saying, oh, how good it is. But if you really remember, a few years back, a lot of fans and media were just saying that this division was just another division that just had average fighters and a dominant champion that was just going to keep them under rule. She was just going to run through everybody, and that's the way it was going to be. Nobody really had any hope in this division, right? Nobody really felt like these fighters were getting better, or these fighters were ever going to show anything or prove anything. You're going to have any future Hall of Famers. That's what it seemed like to me. Everybody was just kind of just turning their heads. But now, now that the belt's changed and you had a few fighters making statements over the past few weekends, it's like everybody's looking now. But as I was saying a few years ago back myself, I was already looking at a few of these new crop of fighters that were coming in the flyweight division. And I already knew, like I was telling y'all, they were going to transition into something. Even when Valentina Shevchenko was champion, I was already telling y'all, look, there's not a bad fighter. There's not an average fighter in this division. Okay, maybe some fighters are starting off average, but even the average fighters are making improvements, right? And also, there's never really a bad fight. Of course, you're going to see different levels from the champion and these other fighters as far as discipline and so on. But you could already see a lot of these fighters that were coming up and developing. They were showing signs of being well-rounded fighters, right? And that's something I've always kind of talked about over here. I was like, okay, there's Shevchenko level and there's the flyweight level. But eventually, if you look at these fighters that are on the come up, they're going to continue to get better as fighters, right? You got a lot of young ladies in here that are watching the champion, but also learning from other greats, so they're going to want to get better as fighters, and they're going to want to be well-rounded fighters. And back to the matches, you got a lot of good fights. You got a lot of good fights being put together, so it's forcing these fighters to have to adapt and get better, right? So that's another thing. You got a lot of good matches being made, but people are just so quick to... People before were just so quick to measure up every match to Valentina. You could never really find any middle ground with these people. They're always like, okay, well, this person never going to beat Valentina. Well, why don't you give them a chance to grow, right? You know what I mean? But then when you see a Valentina fight, you're like, oh, she's doing the same thing, right? She's just doing the same thing over and over. And, this is something I've been saying because I've been watching these fighters coming up. I've been watching a lot of these fighters coming up, from the regional circuits, from Invicta, FC, LFA, UAE, and so on, Cage Fury, whatever it is. And I could already see like a lot of these fighters are going to make great additions. I already said, look, so-and-so is going to be a good addition to this division. But, a lot of people are like, oh, they're never going to beat Valentina. They're going to never beat Valentina. Well, they just got to the division. Just give them some time. And over the past 2 years, like I said, a lot of these fighters were going to put this flyweight division on the map, right? It was not going to just be one fighter that could make this division popping, right? It's gonna be it's gonna have to take more than one fighter, right? And that's what you have now. You have a good crop of fighters now from the bottom to the top that are making this division and all these matchups look a lot better now, right? And now you see a lot of people trying to take credit for this now on the mainstream. They're saying, oh, this division the best now. Oh, this division this is that. Oh, Lex Grasso defeated Valentina Shevchenko. I knew this division was going to be popping. I knew these fighters are going to be better now than ever. It's going to be better than strawweight. But no, man, I've been telling y'all that. That's what I'm saying. You got to really look at the groundwork and see what type of fighters are coming in and what type of mentality they have before you're just so quick to throw it out, So am I coming on here to take full credit? I say I'm taking full credit, but I'm definitely one that said, hey, WMMA fans, flyweight division is one to watch for. Even some of y'all that were saying all this division is boring, I kept talking about it for a reason, right? I kept talking about it for a reason because you got a lot of good fighters here. But let's talk about why I've always thought that the flyweight division is the new, why I always felt like it was a hot division, but why I feel like now it definitely is the new division that's going to represent WMMA for some time now. Because, bantamweight division has had its time. Strawweight's had its time. It's still here. But, if you look at it compared to what I'm saying about flyweight, you can definitely see a difference in growth. So I'll just give y'all some of the reasons why I look at this division right now. I mean, first off, in no particular order, the talent. I mean, back in 2018, you had a lot of good fighters. And even in 2019, they had some fighters with good skills that were putting on good fights, of course. Of course, they weren't showing that level to the champion, but you could already see you had a lot of good fighters in the division. They were coming from bantamweight, and, they were just developing as fighters, and some of them were just coming in with that skill set to try to go for the belt. The women in the division, very skilled, without having to worry about weight cuts for some of these fighters. They could make the weight easy. You could really see them fitting into the division. You had a lot of good talent. But it was really like in 2020, or I'd say like the tail end of 2020, the signing of certain unranked fighters is where you really could see that talent coming in. These fighters would drive, the killer instinct. They had those highlights, those skills, and those accomplishments from other organizations that were coming in. You know which ones I'm talking about. They had the ability to talk their way into certain fights, like talking about Tyler Santos, Manone, of course, Aaron Blanchfield, even the Casey O'Neills, fighters like that who are still developing. They already have the talent, like not just the talent in the cage, but the talent outside to, put eyes on them. Just like a singer, you got to have some type of it factor about you, the swag about you, right? You got to have all of that to kind of get the UFC to put eyes on you, to sign you, right? So it's about the talent, and I think that the flyweight division has that. You have a lot of well-rounded talent here that knows how to put eyes on them, whether it's just the demeanor, the way they carry themselves, or the way they throw a kick, or the way they present themselves as a overall presence in the cage. These fighters have that talent, right? So you got a lot of good talent in the flyweight division just all around that you can't really deny right now, And I think that early on in 2020, like I said, I was already eyeing those fighters. So I was just telling y'all that, okay, be on the lookout for this person. Be on the lookout for this person. I know y'all are already under the spell of Valentina, but eventually some of these fighters are going to show y'all what it is. Again, the like Casey O'Neill's not the most well-rounded fighter yet in the very beginning, like 2020, but she's showing you something. She has some talent there. Again, Aaron, who else? Some other fight, Melissa Gatto. Then you had, the fighters, even like Macy Barber, who had to go back and learn a lesson. She still has that talent to get people to listen, whether you hate her or love her, right? You got a lot of mix of those fighters. Another thing about this division that makes it high is the styles. I know I always say it's a grappler-heavy division, but you still have a lot of heavy strikers in here and wrestlers. You have a lot of strikers you have a lot of wrestlers who want to strike. You have a lot of strikers who want to wrestle. So you're getting a lot of fighters trying to become well-rounded. You know what I mean? Like, you see some fighters coming with a particular style, but then after a minute, like say if they take an L or they don't look good in their last fight, you see them start growing as a fighter. I mean, like one that comes to mind, JJ Aldridge. I know she lost her fight last week, but she came in as this technical striker, but in the next couple of fights, you saw her starting to wrestle a little bit more, work on her takedown defense. Casey O'Neill, I knock her about her striking, but now you start seeing her go to Tiger Muay Thai, come back working on her striking. She's starting to develop that. You have fighters like, again, Macy Barber. She's trying to develop. She's trying to become this fighter that works on her clinch game, not just known as a clubber. Andrea Lee, she's got a lot of tools. She's got a lot of tools. Doesn't really pull the trigger all the time, but it's these different styles that just make up this division, from Arujo to, down to Montana De La Rosa to Karine Silva, Natalia Silva. These fighters that are bringing in these unique styles. Like, you see her as a striker, but then you can see her neutralizing fighters are looking good on her back on the ground, right? So just an all-around mix of styles. Like, you see well-rounded fighters in this division, but they're well-rounded in their own way. Like, they still have their signature style, but you'll see them switch gears every now and then and make adjustments. Going up to the champion, Alexa Grasso, she surprised all of us how good she was on the ground. So I think that's another thing that's just making this division a lot better now. You got a mix of styles here. It's not just grappler heavy anymore, right? You're going to have these physically strong fighters trying to look to become harder hitters and better on their feet, right? Miranda Maverick, she's looking to always sharpen up on her feet. I know her as more of like a solid fighter on the ground, good wrestler, strong, but working on her stand-up game, right? Just all-around fighters like the ones you see in these pictures, just go through them and say, okay, well, yeah, this fighter's got a particular style. They need to work on this, but eventually you see them change, So styles are a big part of this thing. Also, I know people overlook this, the talk. The talk right now is really making this division hot. And like I said in the beginning, you already seen fighters, even the fighters that were on the low, they were saying certain things that were just kind of agitating people, like Tyler Santos, Manone, or somebody was just saying, hey, eventually I'm going to get the belt or I'm going to be number one. It rubs people the wrong way, but that talk keeps people looking. Then you got the fighters like Aaron Blanchfield calling Valentina somewhat of a hype job. Not exactly in those words, but saying she wanted to kill the hype. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that being said keeps people listening, and it keeps the division relevant. Because at the same time she's doing this talk, she's still showing up and she's still showing out looking like a good fighter. So the talk is a big part of it. You already have some fighters like now just doing a lot of talk. Whether again was Macy Barber becoming the youngest champion, O'Neal, talking about, keep the belt warm for me, just little things like that. Again, like Blanchfield throwing the hype out there. Also saying that Shevchenko's ground game was basic. And then after this fight playing out with Grasso, it's kind of like, maybe she might have been right to a certain extent, right? Flyweights, the fighters at flyweight are talking. They're talking. You got to like that. Whether you agree, whether you say they're delusional or not, they got you listening. They got me making videos, right? Even when it sounds like someone isn't ready, you're still going to want to listen. You're going to want to waste time making a video about it because it's like, do they know something we don't know? I don't know, right? I just find it all interesting. I find it all interesting. And of course, the media does now because they're talking about it now. Everybody's like doing little things like articles and videos about stuff we used to talk about over here because, you really get to learn what these fighters are about and, who really wants it or who's just all hot air, right? Again, Barber and Blanchfield, you got to like their little rivalry here. Barber's calling her average as a fighter, but now you see Blanchfield at number 3. Manone's talking about fighting Blanchfield, saying she's a hype job, right? Manone saying that she was better than Valentina. She knew her striking was better, right? Little things like that. Lauren Murphy saying Casey O'Neal talks better than she fights, right? Everybody's promoting themselves in some way. Then you got Tyler Santos, who is kind of out of the mix, even though she's number 2. She's also calling out Valentina. Valentina is wanting her rematch now. She's saying certain things that got people talking. So everywhere you look in this division, Jazzy Vicious, she's saying not crazy stuff, but she's talking a big game. So you just got all these different fighters that are talking, but they're also fighting. They're also fighting. It's not like boxing right now where it's all talk on Twitter. I'm actually hearing a lot of these girls talking. They're showing up. Molly McCann, Miranda calling out Molly. Molly. She may not be ranked, but she's keeping everybody listening. You know what I mean? Just you're getting a little bit of everything right now in this division. And that's one thing that I was always looking at it before the belt changed champions, or even before Blanchfield dominated Jessica Andrade. We were already looking at that over here. I was already looking at it over here. Another thing here, the layout, just the layout of the division is really looking promising. Like, wherever you look, there's not a bad fight. From unranked to the top, you got some strong matches. Unranked fighters, I've done this before. I went through all the unranked fighters. There was like over, I think, 20 to 30 of them, right? See in these pictures I got, right? I actually had so many, I just put it on different pictures, right? So you had over like 20 or 30. Then you got the top 15. You got those veterans and young guns. So once you look at the layout, you can just see that, from the bottom up, the division is covered. It's like the UFC is really investing in this division to just make sure that it has some longevity. You know what I mean? Because if you look at the bottom, all right, at the bottom, you got a lot of regional champions coming in. A lot of good regional prospects that are undefeated, just like, when they were coming in 2 years ago. At the bottom, you got the Tough House winner. The Tough House winner, Juju Miller. She's in there. She's at the bottom. And then, like I said before, you got those fighters coming in. Like I had my triple threat, Manone, Tyler Santos, Aaron Blanchfield, those fighters that are undefeated in the UFC. Well, Tyler Santos isn't, but you know what I mean. Like you got fighters like her, and these other fighters in the middle as well that are still improving, but they can still make good matches, and they can still weed out some of these veterans or these old heads that already had their chances at a title shot, right? So if you look at the whole layout of the division, it's pretty full. It's full all the way around, and you can't really have any complaints once you just really look at the division as a whole. From the bottom, like I said, Juju Miller, all the way to the mid rankings, to the top 3 contenders, to your champion, right? It's all covered. I had a sub ask me which division has a better bottom half right now, 115 versus 125. And I had to say 125. I had to say 125 because I was actually able to pick 3, in my opinion, that were going to the top. That would be at the top eventually, and they showed heavy promise. And now you got a lot of fighters at the bottom that are improving, like even Lipsky, who are slowly making their way up, that eventually you'll probably see them in the top 10 when some fighters retire, right? As you move up, you got a lot of young fighters that weed out the old heads, like Roxy. My girl JoJo got weeded out, right? I mean, she got a fight coming up this weekend, but, she got weeded out of the top 15. And then you had Jessica I, who got retired. So the midsection looks strong here. The midsection really looks strong. Even the bottom half looks strong. That's why I say the whole layout is something to look at, because you got great fights all around on each level. The bottom half, Gabriela Fernandez versus Jazzy Vicious, that was a good fight. Eventually when Melissa Gatto takes on somebody at the bottom half, Karine Silva. Well, you got Karine Silva taking on Cachoeira. That's a good fight. That's a good fight on the bottom half. Everybody keeps trying to measure these fights on the title realm, but these are just good fights to watch. See, that's how I am with boxing. Like, when you just put guys in there that are matched up on their level, I can enjoy a fight. But so many people try to hold it to this high level when they know this person doesn't have that talent. But eventually they'll be there. Eventually they're going to be there if they have it, right? So, again, 115 to 125 versus 125, I would say 125 just has an all-around better half, because you see a lot of these fighters bucking for that 15 spot. It's like a revolving door. That's how good it is, because some of these fighters just revolve out. JJ will be in there, then Miranda will be there, Cavill will be in there, then Melissa Gatto will probably jump in, then Tracy Cortez, then E-Boss comes out of nowhere, jumps in, then she's firing up now up the ladder. So it's just like a lot of talent that's, I'd say, matched up well. But at the same time, you can see them eventually getting to the top 10 versus some of the unranked fighters at strawweight. I think some of them are signed a little green, but they are improving as fighters. Still not bad fighters, right? But yeah, midsection strong, top 10. You still got a few fighters in there that are going to get weeded out, but there's still tests for the girls that are coming up. But yeah, I just think that all around the layout is much better. I mean, even your fighters that may not look like much to y'all, they just fight. Like Molly McCann, like people think she's trying to overrate herself. She's an exciting fighter. I mean, she brings in a crowd. She has some signature moves in there. On her level, she's entertaining. Meatball is. Zombie Girl, Cachoeira, again, she's an exciting fighter. This fight coming up with Karine Silva. Karine Silva's got a 100% finishing rate. They're going to bring it, So it may not be title shot realm, but it's going to be a good fight to me. They bring fun fights. You're going to get everything. That's why I say the layout is better from the bottom to the top. I think, a few of us that are really big fans of the flyweight division, we can really enjoy it from the bottom to the top, man. We know the levels, and when the matchup is made, I'm like, okay, I'm like this, But yeah, another thing too, like the UFC took a gamble too to really make this division hot here, and they kind of threw us off with a few fights that actually paid off. Was like the Ibas Arruo fight, the Blanchfield and Andrade fight, and the Grasso Shevchenko fight. All 3 of those fights kind of hit us, but the way they threw it at us, it was just kind of like, what are y'all doing? But it actually paid off. So now if you really look at the top 10, it's even stronger. It was even stronger now, because now you got fighters who really want to fight for that belt. Well, Grasso's won it, but you got Ibas and Blanchfield, who show this type of confidence that you haven't really seen in a lot of these other girls. As some of the other girls were saying, you know what, I want to fight a couple more fights. So they say, I don't want to leapfrog over everybody. So now you got some, good fighters at the top that eventually will try to go for that belt, right? So yeah, that's one of the big parts of it. And then, last but not least, the new champion. this definitely wasn't in there yet because I didn't know how this was going to play out. But I got to add this reason on why the division is now really hot. And a lot of people are looking now is the new champion. I mean, sadly, so many people wanted Valentina to fall just because. But now that she's lost the belt, Grasso fanboys and real fans, they're loving this change. And change is good. Change is good. I think Shevchenko losing is not all bad. I think, of course, it's bad for her. It's a sad day for her. But even her, she can benefit from this. It's going to do something to her mentally in the long run. She'll look back on this one day and say, you know what? I'm glad I lost that fight. It taught me something, right? But overall, I don't think it's bad for us. It gives these other fighters a chance to step up and look at themselves and say, you know what? It wasn't that scary. Or it makes them really say, I need to improve technically because, maybe that could have been me. Or they'll also say, I need to improve mentally, right? Because that could have been me. I could have put all my chips in and got it at the time, right? Even like Tyler Santos coming up short in her fight, that's going to make her say, oh, man, like, wow, like, a couple of things I should have improved in camp, and I could have got this, right? Sometimes you just got to take that gamble. So with the change of fighters at the top, they have to put themselves in place now to say, look, we gotta make ourselves look worthy. We gotta make ourselves look worthy because before it was lined up for Val, right? It was lined up for, I think it was going to be Grasso. It's going to be Grasso. Then it was probably going to be Tyler in a rematch, then Manone, right? It was already kind of lined up for everybody to kind of get their title shot. But now that Grasso's won, Valentina more than likely is going to get a rematch. So the other top ladies, they have to be matched up and look the part for the next title shot, all right? They have to look that part, Manone has to be matched up with Blanchfield now because she's been out for a little bit. She had an injury. Blanchfield, some people are still saying she's green along with other fighters, right? So now they have to match up and look worthy against the winner of Grasso Shevchenko 2, in my opinion. I don't know how it's going to work out as far as a rematch, but that's just my outlook on it now, that whoever wins this fight with Valentina and Grasso, Manone and Blanchfield, they're going to have to line up. They're going to have to really fight hard to, get that title shot, to look worthy next, if they want to get it this year, right? I know eventually one of them is going to get it. Throw Santos in the mix as well because, I don't know what's going on with her. She's got to be active and she's got to do something. Her last fight was Valentina back in June. So these fighters now, it's kind of weird now that Valentina lost his belt. It makes it makes it shaky for them, but it makes it exciting for us now because now we're like, who's going to rise up between these three, these four, who's going to say, no, it's my shot. I'm going to fight you next so I can make sure it's legit. Because before, like I said, when Valentina was already under the impression that she beat Grasso or she's going to beat Grasso, it was like, okay, line these people up next. Just line them up and I'll fight them. That's kind of her mentality. But now that she's gone, it's kind of like, all right, who's going to get it? Who's going to look good enough to give Grasso a great fight? We got to make it look good even for the champion, right? So, yeah. Fans here, I think they're going to win. Fans here win. Fans here win, even the fanboys, because now you'll see what I was talking about when it comes down to these next flyweights that are ready to eat. All right. Santos, Manone, Blanchfield, even Ebos. Chikagan's still in there too, so don't hate. She's still in the mix too. Who knows what she might do? She might come out of left field and outpoint Santos or something like that. Or, Ebos, she might come in here and destroy Lauren Murphy or dominate Lauren Murphy, then skyrocket to the title shot. Who knows how they might do it? But then Manone and Blanchfield in August or something like that could happen. Let me throw this in here too. I like to see Manone, Furo, and Aaron Blanchfield as a UFC fight night. That would make a good fight, right? So who knows what might go on now. But I think with Valentina losing it, it makes the division even hotter. That's why everybody's looking. Everybody was getting mad when Valentina had the belt. Well, now that she don't complain and say this division's going flat. This is what we wanted. You got a lot of good talent, like I said, from the bottom to the top. So, yeah, that's what it is, guys. That's why I wanted to just drop this video because, like I said over here, I've been talking about it. I've been putting y'all on game with some of these fighters from 2019 on, just telling y'all, hey, look out for this person. They're going to be here. Now y'all have people in big media saying, oh, this division's hot. This division's hot. But we've been saying that. We've been saying that over here. But, yeah, guys, that's all I got on this one. Just want to drop this little mini video talking about that. Through these pictures, man, like, Let me know who y'all think of some hot fighters, who's y'all's favorite in the division. What do y'all think of flyweight? Like I said, it's probably the more well-rounded division when you look at it, because strawweight, still good, but you still got a lot of fighters from back in 2014, a lot of 9-year-old fighters now that been in there. And, everybody wants a little something new. We've seen a lot of the matches already happen. Marina Rodriguez done fought everybody in top 10. Rose fought everybody. You know what I mean? You just have certain divisions like that age is gonna show at some point. It's definitely showing at bantamweight. But flyweight's the next one, like I said. And look, I'm still gonna be talking about it, still rocking with it, because we got 3 good flyweight fights coming up this weekend. So it is 3 flyweight fights, right? It is 3 flyweight fights. I'm not looking at any schedule, but we got those fights coming up this Saturday. But let me know in the comment section, guys, what y'all think. Like I said, what y'all think about flyweight division. Combo Breaker 99. Make sure y'all